Is this heaven? Are you looking to create a background that makes it look like you finally entered the pearly gates? Or to create a background that has a clean, simple background? If that's the case, this may be the video for you. So, like I said, if you're looking to create that infinite white background, what are the steps you need to take to create that? Well, the first thing we want to do is grab a white cloth. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be a cloth. It could be a bed sheet. It could be a blanket. It could be drapes. It can even be paper. Well, the paper should be a little bit bigger than that. You just want it to be something that can cover your subject fully. So think about what shot you want to do. Think about how you want it framed and where your subject's going to be moving to make sure that they're fully encompassing the background, or the background fully covers their movements and where they'll be. So once we get a background set up, since we're using the cloth background, we'll need to set it up on a stand. Now, once we get our stand set up and we get our background set on there, we're going to use some clamps to tighten out. Since we're using cloth, or if you're using sheets or drapes or anything like that, they're going to have these creases in them, and we want to try to smooth those out and reduce those as best as we can. The reason why is those are going to have little shadows to them, and it's going to help break that illusion of that infinite white background. So we want to pull that backdrop as best as we can to tighten those up. Now, depending how long your backdrop's been sitting around or how you stored it, it could still have tons of those creases. So in order to help clean those up, what we want to do is you can either grab a steamer, you can grab an iron, or something I do a lot is I'll grab a bottle of water and just spray it down. Now, with spraying it down with the water, obviously it's something that needs a little bit of time, as the water will just kind of drop it down and smooth it out, but it does take a little bit more time. You could put a fan in front of your backdrop to help speed it up, but this is just something that helps, that really cleans it up. Now, once you steam and iron it, spray it down, we'll want to re-pull the sheet again and re-tighten the clamps, just because now it's going to be a little bit looser, and we want to really clean up any of those bigger creases or folds that maybe came from steaming, ironing, watering. So once we get that set up, if we're going to be doing the full body shot, we'll want to pull our backdrop out as far as we can. Now, you obviously really can't spray the water on the floor, so either you can iron it, steam it, or something else that I've done is I have pulled it as hard as I can and taped it down, so that way it tries to minimize as many creases and folds on the floor as it is. Now, obviously, when you step on, it's still going to have little imprints, but I think this will help minimize it as best we can. Now, speaking of stepping on the floor, our feet can be dirty. We step in some pretty crazy things, and obviously a white background's really going to show up on the dirt. So before you step on your backdrop, either you want to take off your shoes, or if we're seeing your full body, it would look a little goofy if you just had no shoes on, is to clean your shoes beforehand. Simple water, towel will be perfectly fine. Just make sure it's dried off before you step on. What I did was I set up 2 backlights to head to my backdrop to really lighten up, to help really enhance that white look, so that way then I can do as little in post. And then I set up a key light right in front of me, and I wanted it to be full, more flat lighting on my face, since with the context of the backdrop, it wouldn't make sense to have like a super side, dark, shadowy face. Once we film our footage, the next thing we'll do is we'll go into our editing software of choice. I'm using Adobe Premiere in this case. And what we'll do is we'll grab our clip and bring it into our timeline. Now, you may notice in my clip that I have sides that you can see and that we are seeing off the white background. So we'll want to go to our effects panel, grab our crop tool, and go ahead, throw it on the layer, and then mask around our subject. Now, we'll want to make sure we keyframe throughout the video, moving around, due to the fact that hands can move throughout the video. We just want to make sure that our original mask, in case it's right around our subject and all of a sudden their hand goes here, their hand will get cut off. So you just want to just go through the footage and make sure it's all set up. So once we mask that out, we'll go ahead and get rid of the rest of the background. Now, once we get that set up, I did shoot this in Vlog on the Panasonic S5 IIX. We'll go ahead and throw on our LUT, and we are able to fine tune any of the color corrections. So if we need to reduce some of the shadows, or we need to make the whites a little bit brighter, so you can sliding these things to play with your background to fine tune it as best as you can. Now, once we get our colors set up perfectly, we'll notice we're still missing the rest of our backgrounds. So back in the day, there used to be a few ways I used to go about this. I would either create a solid layer and color pick the color of the backdrop to put it behind my layer, and then just really make sure to feather to my layer to make sure that everything's smoothed out as best as it could, and just run with it that way. or sometimes I would just step off camera, grab a clean plate of this, and then scale it up, or just move it over to the left, move to the right, feather, so that way then it's smoothed into the background as best as possible. So that is how you create your infinite white background. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down below. Hit subscribe if you'd like to, and we'll see you next time.